Hello, nerds. We are doing more reactions. We're doing Jinjer. Noah is the name of the song. Band is Jinjer. The song is Noah. These guys. This is an interesting band. I haven't heard the song, so I don't know what the song is. But we're gonna do an intro and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna do the things. So yeah, here it goes. All right. So first things first, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. This is a reaction, yes, but it is also an analysis. I'm adding my commentary. I'm doing all of the things. We're going to be stopping the song. We're going to be talking about the things that work with the video, the work with the song itself, as far as the construction of the song, as far as the performance of the song, as far as the production of the song. We're going to be talking about all of these things. These are all things that I do for a living, so I can talk about them. So says I. Anyway, yeah. So if you want to listen to the original song, please, by all means, go listen to the original song. We are not going to be listening to it in its entirety. I'm going to talk over it. I'm going to stop it. All of these things are going to happen. So there's your disclaimer. You have been warned. If that bothers you, this is not the kind of reaction video you're looking for. Peace out. That being said, let's get into my history with the band. I actually saw these guys open up for. I really like. I can remember seeing them, and I vaguely remember the stage they were on. I feel like they were opening for Cradle of Filth, but that sounds wrong in my head. So I can't say for certain. I'm pretty sure it was Cradle of Filth though. So I have seen them live. I was just like everyone else when I first heard what's her name, the vocalist chick. Her name is Tatiana. When I first heard Tatiana's voice, just like everybody else, I was like, "That is crazy." The only other female vocalist that has really blown me away like that in a similar manner was Otep Shmaya from the band Otep. Um, Honestly, I think Tatiana has a leg up on Otep because she has a better melodic side, and also it's slightly more brutal vocal on the crazy side too. So they've got that going for them. Real quick history on who the band actually is. If you have never heard of these guys, they are from the Ukraine, and they have been around for 11 years. They formed in 2009, according to their Wikipedia. They are now on their what is this fourth full length record. It's, the name of the record that this song comes from is called Macro. It came out last year in October, and they're pretty intense. They're really proggy. There's a little bit of a genty kind of feel to some of the stuff that they do, but I don't know if they would welcome the term to describe their sound. So because I know that's a pretty divisive thing with heavy music listeners and players. So I wouldn't go so far as to say they are a gent band, but there's definitely that kind of feel to some of the riffage that goes on that they play. So that is the history. Now let's get into expectations. Expectations are we're going to get blown away by Tatiana's crazy aggressive vocal. That screamed vocal that she can do that is like just like it comes from the pits of hell, or like it's the soundtrack to the best zombie movie. Like that is the kind of stuff we're looking for out of Tatiana. As far as the music goes, these guys are very proggy, so we're going to get a lot of sections. There's not going to be a verse chorus verse kind of feel to this, I don't think. It's going to be section A, section B, section C, and then we kind of rotate between these guys here, and then we'll throw in a section D, and then we'll throw in a section E, and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun tracking this song, like where they're at and all that jazz. As far as production goes, expectations are that this is going to be solid all the way around. I feel like the studio recordings I've heard of theirs are all, because they are a three-piece instrumental band. I mean, they have a vocalist, but the instruments in the band, there's only 3 players. So that leaves a lot of room in the sonic landscape. So I feel like we're going to get a pretty good split for all of the instruments. We're going to hear the bass. The bass is this. I know this bass player is a better bass player than just a Root 5 kind of guy. So those are the expectations. Let's change the screen so we can do the song. All right, so official video for Noah. Also going to be some sort of Bible reference in the lyrics. If I can understand the lyrics the first time through, we'll talk about that a little bit. Napalm Records, coming to a theater near you. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. They do have that kind of djenty sound. It's more of a tone thing than anything for the djenty kind of sound. Not because they do those like crazy mathematical breakdowns necessarily. There's that vocal. All right, so here, right off the bat, we're talking production. Because the guitar is tuned so low, because I feel like they probably do have something along. Yeah, I think they're somewhere in drop A. So the same tuning that Korn uses. So because it is so freaking low, it makes those sonics a little difficult, and it sounds like we're struggling a little bit at the beginning of the song to differentiate between the guitar and the bass. So that's disheartening slightly, but still, that vocal just grabs you and says, listen to what's going on, man. Dynamics, baby. Yes. So, all right. So, like I predicted, we've got some sections to go through. So far, we are into our 3rd section, but kind of, if you're going by a standard structure or a traditional structure, lyrically speaking, we're probably into a pre-chorus or a bridge, and the first 2 sections were all one verse. So, yeah, interesting layout for the structure of the song so far. I'm digging it. There we go. There we go. So, so now that we have a separate play style or a similar play style, all right. So I'm going to back this up. So now that we're into what could conceivably be called a chorus, we have the guitar and the bass are now synced back up to doing something similar as far as what they're playing. But we now have a better differentiation between them in the production side of things. So the performance simplifies down and they sync up, and the production kicks up and says, all right, now we really have to split these. Instead of them being complementary, they're parallel. So it's, I don't know. I feel like there's a more interesting way to do that. Not that I think this is an uninteresting song or any of the elements are uninteresting. I just feel like there's a more effective way to do what they're doing. You know what? I think he might be mimicking the guitar on the bass even for this stuff. I really think he is. Wow. Okay, so revelation. That is not something that they've done previously. Usually, because dude plays with a fingerstyle, right? So fingerstyle makes it very difficult for you to do those 30-second notes, those chugs that the guitar player is doing. It's not impossible. There are definitely players that can do it with fingerstyle. It's just not common, because generally speaking, when you play fingerstyle, in order to do 30-second notes, you've got to either incorporate all 4 of your fingers, or if you're a more traditional fingerstyle player, you just have to get really fast with these two. So it makes it very difficult to go and keep the clarity. Does that make sense? So that's like 16th notes, maybe 24th notes, but yeah, that chug that the guitar is getting. So what it looks like he's doing as far as performance goes is, instead of doing a traditional fingerstyle, he's mimicking a pick style, using his the fingernail on his index finger like a pick, so that he can get a little bit more of that clarity with the attack, but without using a pick and, pissing off fingerstyle players all over the world, because that is a thing that happens. But yeah, so the reason it was hard to pick out the bass from when we were first in these sounding sections in this structure, is because he's mimicking the guitar even here. So, the reason that's disheartening is because previously in other work that they've done, that was not the case. The bass was a little more walking. It was a little more Ryan Martini and a little less every other metal bass player. Like, so I don't know, that kind of drops a little bit on the cool scale for me, I feel like. See, like, you could something more. Yeah, see, you can even see here he's switched it over, so he's fingering his bass again, but you hit the accents with the slap, and then you get a pluck. Something to separate what you're doing from the other stringed instrument. It fills out the sound more, and it makes it more sonically interesting. And when you're playing a style as aggressive as this, when you're playing this metal, this prog kind of stuff, that is the expectation. So if you're not at least rising to that minimum bar, then there's gonna be, I don't know, man, there's a little bit of an issue there, I feel like. Oh, are they an F maybe? I like that riff. That's fun though. So that's definitely an A that they end that phrase on. Nice. So here's something, the unsung hero of this song so far has been that drummer, just holding it down. And part of the reason why we haven't talked about that yet is because of his station in the mix is kind of more subdued than I probably, again, this is the way I would have done it if I was their producer. I'm not their producer, obviously, because I'm not making millions of dollars making music. I'm just making a piddly amount making music. So, but no, the thing I probably would have done differently with this mix, aside from the fact like he's obviously trying to do something so you can differentiate between the bass and the guitar, production-wise, performance-wise, it sounds like they're basically in lockstep the whole way through. Now that I've heard it a little bit more, but those drums. You've got the snare probably right about where it should be. You can give those hi-hats, the cymbals, a little bit more presence, and definitely crank that kick, man, because it's there. It's just not, it doesn't have as much power as you would expect, again, with such an aggressive style of band. Like, we're getting all head noise and no resonating noise from that kick drum. So let's go back a little bit. Something in the... No, before this... Right here. If we got a little bit more resonating, a little bit more of the resonant sound from that kick, it would fill out that tone a little bit better, and there would be more rumble. We would have more bottom end, because it sounds like the way the guitar player is, even though they're tuned fairly low, the guitar and the bass are both kind of more EQ'd towards that kind of stuff and a little less of that kind of stuff. So I just would have done a fair amount of that drum mix. Guitar mix is great. I probably would have played with the bass a little bit more and definitely brought those drums up more in the mix. So you get, just to illustrate my point a little better, you get the hit, you get that impact noise, but there's no tone to it. You get every drum, regardless of what anybody will tell you, every drum has a tone. As far as capturing the sound of a player, depends on their play style, depends on the style of the rest of the band, how much of that tone you get. With a band like this, when you have a little bit of room in the sonic landscape, you have plenty of space to play with tone from the drums. So your drummer needs to have his kit tuned to a tone, whatever that tone is up to the drummer, and actually by and large up to the band to some degree as well, because the tuning of the guitars kind of has some sort of relation to the tuning of the drums. So if you're just getting impacts, yeah, you can tell what the drum is based off the impact sound, but you get a better presence of the entire drum kit if you have the resonating sound as well. And it sounds like we have zero resonance with this drum kit. See, and snare is mostly resonance. It's just the resonance is so truncated by nature. Like the snare resonance doesn't last very long under most circumstances. They even have the pan on the drums done perfectly. Like the drum tone, man, there's so much done right with that drum sound, and so much that I just needs a little bit of tweaking to be perfect, man. See, and we even got resonance on that floor tom that he just hit, but not on the kick. Why? Why the kick is not there? Oh, okay. The halftime on the crash, man. Yes. Ooh, that was fun. The little phrase there at the end, that was a lot of fun. All right, so that is Jinjer, Noah. Final thoughts on this. The performance-wise, I'm super excited about what's going on with the guitar. I'm super excited about what the drummer's doing, and I'm super excited about Tatiana's performance. That all is working very, very well for me. I'm kind of disappointed with the way the bass player was performing, because it is, again, from the relatively small amount that I've listened to this band, it is out of my expectations for him to just be playing the root notes effectively of what the guitar player is playing. So that kind of wasn't doing much for me. But and then on the production side, I feel like we spent a fair amount of time on this. I feel like those drums really could have just a couple of minor tweaks would have gone such a long way. Part of those tweaks is not just EQ but microphone placement. So what I suspect is the case is they had that they had the kick drum microphone just on the other side of the kick from the mallet. So you have the big, let me get in the camera. We have the big kick drum, right? So let's say the microphone here is the microphone for the kick drum. So we have the big kick drum. You have a tube that makes up the kick drum. It's probably about 22 inches around, and oftentimes when you see a band live, they have a head on the far side that they're not impacting, and usually there's a hole cut in that head so that they can put a microphone inside the kick drum for live purposes. For studio purposes, generally speaking, those heads are removed. It depends on the producer, it depends on the player, but most of the studio experience I have, we usually take the kick drum, the secondary head, the resonating head off, and we just have the impact head on. That way we can get the proper resonance of the actual cone, or the tube that is the kick drum. So the microphone, we generally speaking, if we're limited on microphones, or if we're, whatever time and on certain restrictions, you have one kick drum microphone, and that microphone is inside the head, and how much resonance you're getting depends on how close the microphone is to the impact head. So what I suspect is they had it right up against the skin of the head, so all we're getting is the clap of the mallet against the drum head, and we're not getting the rest of the tone from the inside of that drum. And I think that if they would have just backed off like 3 inches from where they were, honestly, that would have made a giant difference in the sound of that kick drum, and probably in the gain that they were putting through the microphone, so they could bring up the volume on it, and it would have more presence, and it would have been more effective. Either way, it was a fun song. Like, I know I'm spending a lot of time. I just get really nitpicky sometimes. Either way, it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate proggy stuff like this, man. Like I said, I've seen these guys live, and they put on a hell of a show, so I dig it. What do you guys think? I'm ending the video here. I'm going to stop rambling about that dang kick drum. What do you guys think? Let's talk about it down in the comments. I know I'm going to have some people that are, well, actually, and actually, these are just this. I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been doing this since I was a teenager. I've been making money doing this since I was a teenager, and I am in my 30s at this point. So I feel like I have some experience to speak from, right? Thank you guys for joining me. There is so much going on Generally Nerdy. You can go check out the twice weekly news show by clicking probably the other nerdy things button that should be popping up sometime soon below my face, or you can see more reactions. That's the playlist right there. Don't forget to click the subscribe button down there in the center if you haven't already. If you have, thank you. Welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoyed this one. Check out generallynerdy.net for the website. That's where all the free stuff goes, all the links to the stores and everything. Go check that out. Patreon.com/generallynerdy if you want to support. I would very much appreciate it. Thank you, nerds, very, very much. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.